Shauna from Heritage Creations Cut Flowers. It's been a minute since I've been on here, but that's because it's been busy. So, I can't even remember when I posted last, but this summer has been great. I should say this season has been great. So we're in year 3. We started out with just doing a farm stand here in front of our property, and then I kept saying I did want to branch out and do more with florists. Last year I had one florist that would buy from me every now and again. She was close and she would stop by, and most florists still have some downtime in July, and that's typically when I have a lot of flowers. So I thought, well, let's bring on another florist. So I did find another florist who likes to support local, likes to buy local. As a matter of fact, she doesn't even like to buy her foliage from the wholesaler. So that was perfect. And started selling to her. I'd have to go back and look. I'm not really sure when I started. I want to say June, but I could be wrong. So what I did there was I had seen some of her work on Instagram, and I could tell that she used flowers that I grew. What I did was I messaged her, asked if I could stop by on a certain day, drop her off some flowers, see if she liked them, and then I followed back up with her, then had my website set up so where she could order off the website. So that's what I did, and she started ordering. So I would deliver to her on Tuesdays, and then I have a market that's close to me. She likes bouquets delivered to her, and she just pays me for the bouquets, just outright pays. That's perfect because, as we know, it's a perishable product and it's not on consignment and all of that. So she'll just tell me how many she wants. It started out with 12, and then things were kind of dwindling in the summer, as they always do. She went down to 10, she went down to 8, but this past week she got 8, then she wanted 5 more because she sold out the day I dropped them off. She sold out of those 8, then she wanted 5 more, then she sold out of those, and then she wanted some more, but I actually didn't have any more. So I definitely prioritized the market and the florist, and then what I had left, put out at the stand. And so at the farm stand, I want to say for practically the whole month of August, I've only had about 10 bouquets to put out at the farm stand, and then we've been selling out pretty much by early morning on Saturday, because we're open Friday and Saturday for the weekend. And then I'll have to put that out. And then I feel bad because I do have other customers stopping by later and we're sold out. I do put it out on social media though that we're sold out of bouquets. And actually one weekend we didn't have anything. That is because back in June or July, when I was trying to succession plant some zinnias, I was trying to start zinnias. I couldn't start them because in the workshop where that's my seed starting station, that is also where our cooler is. We have that set at 65, so when I cut flowers, that's where I put the flowers, because behind me in there is where we're actually building a for real cooler, but it's not done yet. So you have to improvise. So in the workshop where my seed starting station is, that's the cooler, so I couldn't get my zinnias to start in there because it was too cool. So then I tried to start them outside. That didn't go well, just on their own outside in soil blocks in my hoop house. I have a hoop house back there. So anyway, so that didn't go well. So then I'm set back some more. So finally we just brought them inside, put some heat mats and lights back in the house, and started them in there. So that worked, but that set me back, and that is why I had a gap there in August where I was really struggling for some flowers. Lesson learned, of course. I think what I'm going to do this coming season, I am just going to make sure that I've got some plugs ordered, because it's just so crazy at that time of the season that I can really get behind. So I'm going to have plugs ordered to come and plant so that I won't have that problem again. So that being said, we are adding more rows, adding more flowers next year so that we won't have the problem of not having enough flowers for the customers. And we're also adding 8 rows of woodies. So that will be great as well. And those, I'll be able to cut off some of them next year, probably not a lot, but we're putting them in this fall. They're actually coming the week of September 22nd, putting those in, and then of course they'll overwinter and they'll start, and you know, I'll be able to cut off some of them, use them in bouquets, sell them to florists, that kind of thing. They're mostly going to be foliage and different things, but I think they're going to be super helpful. So that's one thing that's coming. And then of course I'm just expanding and growing more of what I've grown in the past. Nothing really new for the spring, but I just need more rows because this year I'm definitely ordering plugs and putting those in, and those are all coming in October. So I need to get all those done, and I need to get the rows done and all of that. So let me just take you around the garden and show you what it looks like now. Again, I've cut everything except for my Oklahoma zinnias. I do have that to go, but I thought I'd just stop. Well, I took a break, I ate lunch, and so then I thought, well, maybe let me get this done, because a lot of times if I don't get it done, then it's just not going to get done. So let me show you around. Upper garden. This first row, this was amaranth I planted. I haven't used any of it. It grew too tall. Pretty much this whole first row is done. I've got some cosmos, but I'm not cutting off anything here. This is all gone. This second row is a succession of sunflowers. These have all been pretty much cut down, so this will be my next succession that I'm cutting off of. Over here I have a succession of sunflowers. If you haven't been around a while, the reason the sunflowers are covered in insect netting is really not for insects. It is for bunnies. I have a problem with rabbits eating. Now pretty much once the plants get to the height of the top of this insect netting and I take it off, usually then it's tall enough and they don't eat it. So fingers crossed that that continues, because I'm about to take this netting off of these sunflowers. And then I'll take you down here because this is just some cosmos. I don't really cut off of that. Okay, this, see if you can tell, just this tiny little patch. This is what I tried. This was my first succession of zinnias when I said that I was having trouble, and I tried to start them outside. Yeah, I got this tiny little patch. There's like 5 in here. Anyway, this was my first succession way back in July. So, you know, that was pretty much a fail. These Oklahoma zinnias, these have been going since April. So, I mean, these really have been pumping out some blooms for me. As you can tell, there's lots of disease, whatnot in there, but they're still pumping out the blooms, and the blooms are still looking good. So I'm still using them. The ones that look good, I'm still using those. So, and then down here, I haven't cut off of this. This is lemon basil. I haven't cut off of that in a while. And that is my mahogany splendor hibiscus. I have been cutting off of that for a while. I started that actually at the very beginning of the season, which was key. I had heard that from Ginger Flores, I believe. She says she starts hers at the beginning of the season, lets it grow so it gets pretty woody, and then it doesn't wilt. Because in the past, when I've grown mahogany splendor, I've done it like, put it in like in the middle of my season, and then it's pretty wilty when I try to cut it. But I've had good luck now with this not being wilty. So there's that. This row of zinnias I've been cutting off of since April, and look how off it looks. Still getting some blooms off of it, which I have needed. I've really wanted to just chop it down, but I haven't because of my succession problem I talked about. So, and then I did I'd pulled something out here and I needed some space, so those are sunflowers. Then this is ballerina zinnias that look not so great. I cut everything that I could that looked decent that I could cut already today, but you see how bad they're looking. And then this is part of that second succession I was talking about. Oh, also I did start some cosmos in that second succession, but those marigolds right there, they've been pumping out the blooms for me too. That's actually been a lifesaver. I started those, they were direct seeded, I want to say maybe in June. Anyway, they've been pumping out the blooms, so that has been super helpful right there. This is the last row. These are Queen Lime. I've stopped cutting on those because they're so bad. And these are Benary's Giants. These, again, I've been getting some blooms off of those. Again, you can see, I mean, how they're looking not so lovely. All right, this is my good succession that's coming on right here. So I have this little patch that I was able to get started back in July. It was late, so I mean, they're just coming on right here. So with this little patch coming on, so I'm super excited about that. Can't wait to start getting more blooms off of that. And this little patch of marigolds. And then cinnamon basil and that purple basil. So this little area right here, let me come over here. I can't even see because of the, so this right here, the purple basil, the cinnamon basil, and then that little patch of marigolds and zinnias. This is what I have new coming on for September and October, aside from I have been succession planting all of my sunflowers, aside from the sunflowers. And then again, I have the foliage back there from Mahogany Splendor. And then I'll show you, I do have eucalyptus in the lower garden. Okay. If you've seen the video where we started this whole area and we added rows, and then in the spring nothing grew well here, as you can tell, we just scraped up those rows and called it good, because I do think it was the soil that was brought in. I bought soil from a company, you know, researched it, did all the things, but they brought in a dump truck, dumped it, and everything grew short. Paid a lot of money, everything grew short. I will not do that again. I will not bring in soil from a company again. I still have, obviously, the parts of these rows are still here because the marigolds, again, have been a game changer, so they're really helping me. And then some of these zinnias and ageratum and the Mahogany Splendor is helping. So that stayed, but that's really close to being torn down too, as you can tell. These marigolds are not looking the best. Ageratum's not too bad. Oh, and there's some cinnamon basil in there too. Again, it just all grew short. It was definitely the soil. Okay, so here's the lower garden. Over on this side is perennials. First row is Lady's Mantle, and then I have phlox, then I have GM, and then mountain mint, which I have loved this year. This is my first year having mountain mint. Love it. Then I have back there some eucalyptus. Then I have a row of, right here next to the, right here, of dahlias. I've killed a lot of dahlia tubers in my time, and again this year I'm really still working on being a decent dahlia grower, but right now I'm a terrible dahlia grower. So anyways, have some of those. And then here with the really tall eucalyptus, this is all the eucalyptus I've been cutting off of right here. So this has been great. This row, the beginning of it, that's got the tunnel, that has another succession of sunflowers with Baptisia behind it. This has another row, succession of sunflowers with some bee balm, then a whole row of yarrow, except a little succession of sunflowers, and then sunflowers, and then the covered part is our Lisianthus, which is on its second flush, which Lisianthus is the bomb. That has been helping me also. And we've kept this cover over the Lisianthus to help ours stretch and grow longer, and that has really helped as well. And then over here I've got 2 rows of mums growing, and in the middle there is some scented geranium, which I'm definitely going to do more scented geranium next year. Florists like scented geranium, and I want to put more in my bouquets. And then the place that I do the bucket drop off, they have loved the scented geranium. So anyway, so I want to do more of that. So this is the lower garden. And now we are going to do short rows here. You have to really learn your property, and like right now it all looks really dry, but in the spring the lower half of this got too wet. So we're just going to stop our rows there because all of that was good despite the bad soil. We took that soil away, and we have a neighbor who has fabulous compost. She's got a horse farm. Everything that we've ever grown, we've grown in her compost. And so we rented a dump truck, got the compost. That's what we're putting, not a dump truck. We rented a dump trailer to get a bunch of her compost that, as you can tell, looks just like dirt. It's been sitting there for umpteen years. So that's what these rows are made. That's what these rows are made of. We've taken away the dirt that everything grew short in. So we got rid of that. And then over here is where we're going to have all of our woody plants. And then as you can see the flags over there, that's where we planted our peonies. We had to move the peonies if you've watched that video, again, because we didn't realize that where we first planted them was too wet. So know your property and know where the water is. But we've got peonies over there. We're going to plant the woodies there when they come in September, mid-September. And then over here is where a lot of the cool season flowers will get planted and overwintered. But we're using this. Over here was where we had planted peonies. And as you can see, we dug them all up, and now it's just a little field. And see how dry it looks? Yeah, well, it's not super dry in the springtime when there's a lot of rain. So again, know your property. But we planted all the peonies here, and then come spring we had to move them all. So we'll see which peonies actually come up and survived. I do have more peonies coming in October. I have like 50 peonies coming in October. Again, if you've been around and seen some of my other videos, I just started along this fence line. And along this fence line, I just started these pollinator areas this year. And oh my goodness, they have taken off. I've been so excited about them. I also have been cutting off of this sedum that's been, especially this one's tall. And then I have some sedum down there that I've been cutting off of and using in bouquets. So that's been super helpful. But I have like 5 monarch caterpillars in here, and I am so excited about it. Probably won't be able to find even one right now. But they've been on my common milkweed. Now my milkweed has lots of aphids and milkweed bugs. Do you see that? So this is butterfly milkweed. This is common milkweed. Oh, there he is. See him? There's one of them. all of my monarch caterpillars I have found on the common milkweed. And then this butterfly milkweed, this actually bloomed this year, but now it looks terrible. It's covered in all these milkweed bugs and aphids, and this milkweed has aphids, but you know, what are you gonna do? Nothing. I think that this pollinator area has really been helpful for us. It's in between these two gardens, which I don't know if the site location has affected it, but I do think just having it has been helpful. We also have put up a lot of bird feeders, which I think has been helpful as well, because last year we had a terrible problem with armyworms. Knock on wood. So far I have it written down that now is when it was getting bad. And so yes, I have seen armyworms, but I've seen a couple here and there. We haven't been inundated like we were last year at this time. And actually we had to end our season early last year because of the armyworms. They were just eating everything and there was nothing I could do. I couldn't keep up. So we just had to end the season and cut the stuff down. But I did do a nematode drench. I think that helped. Did the nematode drench last fall. Gonna do, and it was the triple one. I'm gonna do a triple nematode drench this fall. And then last year, I also did a nematode drench in the spring because we had a thrips problem with part of our snapdragons. So we cut those down, put those in bags, took those off, and then did a nematode drench. And then this year, I did contact Natural Enemies, and I hung some little bags of some kind of bug, I forgot it now, that was supposed to help for thrips, and put those in the campanula and the snapdragons, even though they were growing short. But we didn't have a thrips problem, so that was really good. So I'm going to try and do what I did last year this year. So do the nematode drench, and then next year I am going to hang those little sachets of the good bugs, whatever they were. I'll look those up and hang those again and really try to stay on top of things, because I did 2 successions of snapdragons. I don't want to do that again. And hopefully this year they'll actually grow tall like they're supposed to in good dirt, and I can use them. That will be fabulous. And then I'll have lots of snapdragons for Mother's Day and the flowers and all the things. So that would be perfect. Live and learn, that's what I keep saying. I will do another video on making the rows out in the lower garden for the woodies and the cool season plants that we're doing. I just wanted to kind of jump on, give you an update of the garden, and let you know what's been going on.